Yes, guys, welcome back to another video. Welcome to the George Benson football channel. We are back in the office. We are here today for an international break video that is very different to the last video, the first video that we made during the international break, because today I want to talk about Pochettino. I want to kind of look at where we were, look at where we're at, look at where we're heading. We know that after the international break, things aren't going to be easy. We have got some pretty harrowing fixtures potentially based on what we've seen so far this season, even with the run of games that we've had, the 3 wins in a row, Brighton, Fulham and Burnley. We're still going to be looking at that fixture list thinking, is this going to be, how many points is it going to be? And that is the question I want to know you guys answer to in the comments down below. By the time you finish this video, let me know what you think of some of the points that I've made, and also tell me in the next 8 Premier League fixtures, I'll put them up on the screen for you right now. Tell me how many points you think we're going to get. I know that obviously game by game, things change. And I think before we do get into the video, that's the point I want to start at. But I want to make sure that you guys are going to the Chelsea-Arsenal game. Yes, guys, huge thank you to Paramount UK for sorting out this giveaway and sponsoring this video. How would you guys like to win 2 tickets to Chelsea versus Arsenal after the international break? But not only that, you get to go on the pitch as well and compete in a football challenge at halftime to win some signed goods, maybe some more match day tickets. In order to enter, you've got to go into the links in the description. Follow Paramount UK on X, formerly known as Twitter. Reply to the post and share it with the person that you would like to bring with you. The giveaway ends on Saturday at 2 p.m. UK time. Unfortunately, this is only for people in the UK. But this is a massive, massive giveaway. And I know that you guys are absolutely going to want to be at the biggest game of the season so far, Chelsea versus Arsenal. It's completely free to enter, super simple. Check the links in the description and let's get back into the video. So you heard it, big opportunity for you lot there. So game by game, at the moment, if we talk about the positives, Chelsea are getting better and better. There has been a lot of things that I've seen that have come from Mauricio Pochettino that have enabled us to become better and better game by game. If we start with the Carabao Cup match against Brighton, I think it is very important this season that Chelsea do get good runs in the Cups when we've got still a relatively big squad. We've got so many injuries. I know that sometimes Cup games, especially Carabao Cup games, might seem as though they're not the most important. We should prioritise the league. And then even some people nowadays have completely lost love with the FA Cup as well, which I will never do. I think it's an incredible trophy. It's one of the oldest, if not the oldest, footballing trophies in the world. So I want us to go far in these competitions. We've got Blackburn at home in the 5th round, I think it is, or the 4th round, which is good. That is exactly where we want to be. I think it's the 4th round because we entered the 2nd round this year. So that win against Brighton was a good start. It's a strong team. De Zerbi also played a strong side. And then you go into the game against Fulham. And when I saw that opening half an hour or so, I'm thinking, finally, I attributed it to the luck changing because you do get a dodgy piece of defending from, I think it was Tim Ream at the back for Fulham, which enables Cole Palmer to get the ball, feeds it into Armando Broja, who then also gets, you could say, a little bit lucky with the way that the defender tries to just get in the way, clear the ball away, and it hits Armando Broja, and it goes in the back of the net. Chelsea, from that moment, we finally had 2/3 of a match to play in one game where we could be comfortable. And I think this is the big thing for Chelsea right now, is that the situation is something that last season, when I looked at the players that we had, I thought a lot of the players were more than content, happy, comfortable with being in the doldrums. So many of the players last season that have now either left the club or maybe are still there but just weren't buying into any of the managers, which is why this video is about Poch. I think a lot of the players last season just did not care that we were in the predicament that we were in. You start this season off and you can just sense that there is a bit of an energy about the players that is like, right, we know that last season was bad. And it looks as though, to the naked eye, to you lot, to us, that it could be going the same way again this year. Step up. The players have stepped up. And that is one of the biggest differences that we can see so far this season. You then take that into the game against Burnley, where we go behind again, and I'm thinking, we haven't started well here. We're not gaining control of the pitch. We're looking relatively strong, but again, there's no creativity. We concede the goal, and then all of a sudden, Raheem Sterling turns up. And I think when you watch back that performance, there are a lot of standout players. Cole Palmer's had a lot of plaudits. Sterling has obviously had a lot of plaudits. Gallagher, Caicedo, these guys all did very well. Jackson had a brilliant second half as well. But Raheem Sterling has absolutely taken on board all of the advice and the instruction that Mauricio Pochettino has given him. Yes, he's not been perfect all season long. Yes, there are moments where you look at him and you're just like, Raheem Sterling, what are you bloody doing, mate? But that is just the nature of the player that Raheem Sterling is. And I think when you think about Manchester City, you think about them selling us Sterling, selling us Cole Palmer, there will always be some moments where City will look at both Sterling and Palmer in a Chelsea shirt and be like, oh, maybe we shouldn't have got rid of those guys. Maybe Guardiola could have done with Sterling against Arsenal at the weekend. Chelsea have got here two really talented players. And I think when it comes to Sterling last season, Chelsea fans were so quick to jump on his back, myself included, because we're so used to seeing these big numbers. We're so used to seeing him delivering in a Pep Guardiola team. And I don't necessarily think Guardiola sold him because he's rubbish or that he didn't fit. It's just the way that he was developing that squad, the way that he was developing that team. It was easier to kind of move on without Raheem Sterling and then sell him to Chelsea for a significant fee of money. With Cole Palmer, there's not really much opportunity for him with a star-studded squad that they've got, so Chelsea get hold of him. And I think Pochettino, with both of Cole Palmer and Raheem Sterling, has to be looking at both of these two players moving forward as the glue to the Chelsea front line. Cole Palmer is not just a good player when he's got the ball and he's driving forward and he's dribbling, taking players on, cutting inside. His awareness spatially to be able to bridge that gap between Chelsea in the midfield and the defence, because as we're going to talk about in a minute, the defenders are also contributing to these attacks too. And earlier in the season, it didn't quite work, but now you've got the explosiveness of Sterling, playing with the confidence and playing with the handbrake off, which we've heard Pochettino talk about. He wanted Sterling to come into this season and just let go. And sometimes with a player, that can mean that they become very selfish. It can mean that they become very one-dimensional in the way that they're kind of just playing for themselves. Sterling doesn't need to do that. Sterling doesn't really need to prove anything to himself. He just needs to prove something to Chelsea fans. And I think when he puts in a performance like that, you can attribute it to Mauricio Pochettino. He's put him back in a position that he has seen Raheem Sterling be so successful in the past. Cole Palmer, same thing. Playing off that right-hand side, even though there isn't as much data to go by, Pochettino puts him in that position to enable him to be proactive in the final third, to be a big part of Chelsea's build-up, and of course, final product as well. Great penalty. So with Pochettino, I think what we're starting to see build here is an experimental phase in the early stages of the season as a result of injuries that was undeniable. You've now got Levi Colwill, who I've got to say this. I slated Pochettino a few weeks ago saying, I don't think Levi Colwill should be playing here. And it was mainly because of how well I've seen him playing centre-back and how I think in a centre-back position, he can provide so much more progressively for the team. All of a sudden, we keep seeing the repetition. We keep seeing Pochettino pick Levi Colwill at left-back when there is a left-back there, but he's thrown him right-back. And as much as Cucurella was at fault also for the goal, the whole back line was, everybody screwed up. It was a moment of madness in that Burnley game. I think what Pochettino is doing right now with Colwill is absolutely fantastic. When you look at the way that he got that assist at Fulham, he's looking very comfortable. He's 20 years old, this kid, which is absolutely insane. I think in the future, if Reece James just doesn't ever manage to make it on the pitch, Levi Colwill could easily be Chelsea's captain. Ben Chilwell's in the same bracket because once again he's out until December, which is just a regular season-by-season thing. So Levi Colwill, at this moment in time, I'm delighted with him. And I think we still won't see the best out of him until we've got a fully fit squad when he is back in that centre-back position, because Thiago Silva, I do think, will slowly be eased out of this team. This has been like a bit of like just a waffling video a little bit about where I feel with Chelsea right now. We're going to go into more depth over the course of this international break as well about how we can still improve, what the tactical differences have been. But with Pochettino here, he is really sticking to his guns, which I respect, because I love it when a manager does something that I don't like, and then I don't love it. Okay, this is the wrong way to explain it. But when you see something you don't like, and then it happens again, you feel like it's okay to be like, manager's fault. All right? And I think that's where football fans are at now, where you've got your opinions, I got mine, you got yours, whatever. We look at things we don't like, and when we see it repeated, the easiest thing to do is blame the manager. But at the same time, you've got to give credit. When the manager does something, sticks with it, it doesn't work, but then you start to see how this idea of a project comes into fruition. We knew that at the start of this season, maybe some of us thought we could win the league. I thought we could be up there based on the preseason. Very premature. Should not have been thinking that. Now, I'm just thinking, let's ride this momentum wave. Let's see what we can do in these games, and this is the final point I want to make about Pochettino here, where Chelsea won't always be guaranteed possession. This has been the biggest change that we have seen so far in the last 3 matches. Pochettino has kind of held his hands up and been like, all right, cool, well, if we've got 70% of the ball, we're not going to be able to break teams down, because right now we don't have the confidence or maybe the quality to do that when teams are just going to sit back, soak up all of our pressure, and then hit us on the break, and we don't know how to deal with that either because we played the majority of the game in the opposition's half. So it's kind of like we get shocked, and then we get caught out, we get found out. So I think at the moment what we're seeing from Pochettino is less pressure to have players always on the ball. That means that other teams get the actual chance to expand up the field, which allows for pockets of space to be created, allows for Moises Caicedo to make those break-up tackles in the middle of the park, give it to a Gallagher, give it to an Enzo, we can give it to a Palmer, give it to a Sterling. You see where we're going here. Chelsea are so much better when we don't have the ball. And I think that is something that even when we've been poor for the last 2 seasons or so, we have still done very well defensively. We don't get battered in games. Yes, we do concede some sloppy, silly goals at times, but we're also looking solid. We've scored 7 goals and conceded only 1 in the last 3 games, all of which against Premier League opposition. So I think Pochettino, even with all the injuries that we've got, playing a left back at right back, not having all of our centre halves fit, not having all of our players fit in the whole squad, what he's starting to show already, even before Nkunku's come back, even before everybody can come back into that back line, Badiashile, Reece James, Gusto, Chilwell, all these players that have been out, I think that we could build upon this, even in these difficult games, because we're playing against teams that are not going to sit back. I've been saying this all season long, and I'm actually, again, just for my own personal ego, happy that since the start of the season, where I've been saying we're not going to do well against the teams that don't want the ball. We're going to do well against the teams that do want the ball, which sounds a bit odd, but that's the balance that Chelsea have in this squad right now. That's what's working, and I think Pochettino, even in games against Fulham and Burnley, where you'd expect Chelsea to dominate more of the ball than you would, say, against the Klopp's Liverpool team, Pochettino has seen this and noticed this early. And because of those tactical changes, we're now scoring goals. We're creating better chances even than the good ones we were creating before that we couldn't finish. And overall, I think Mauricio Pochettino is slowly starting to cook something, which is the phrase I didn't want to use, but I've used it now with this Chelsea team. After the international break, hopefully we get more players coming back from injury. We've got no Sterling. He's going to be staying at Cobham, which is great news when he's in this kind of form from that last game. Nicholas Jackson, I also believe, has a hand injury after some surgery. So he isn't going to be playing for Senegal. So he can't get injured. I'm excited about this. The Chelsea-Arsenal game is absolutely massive. They're joint top of the table with those mugs from Tottenham. Don't know how they're doing this, but they're doing very well, aren't they? But yeah, I'm going to wrap this video up for you guys now. But before I do that, actually, an ode to the magnificent, the fabulous, the brilliant Eden Hazard, who yesterday announced his retirement from professional football. I don't think I've ever seen a retirement announcement from a player who isn't currently at my club and been so kind of choked up about it a little bit, I guess. I think Eden Hazard is, in my opinion, the most talented footballer that I've ever watched play at Stamford Bridge. I think he was magnificent. I think the way that he played football was a joy to behold. And I think as much as he may have got criticism for the way that he could have been that guy to test the Ronaldos, the Messis and all of that stuff. But I think when a player enjoys his football the way that he does like that and then doesn't really want to do all the extra stuff to be able to sustain that at the highest level, I think he's done the right thing. Retiring at 32, he's had a sensational career. And I think since the Chelsea move to Madrid, it wasn't magnificent at all. It wasn't really the dream move that he wanted it to be. But at least he... Why did you do that? I was in such a good flow. I'm just a bit gutted that he's retired, to be honest. We could have just had him on in the reserves for a season, couldn't we? Nah, now I'm being too emotional about it. But anyway, Eden Hazard has retired. Best of luck to him in whatever future endeavours he chooses to do. And yeah, I've been waffling a little bit in this video today, but I'm kind of just getting used to being back in the office again. Got a new microphone, which is pretty nice, I think. Hopefully it sounds good for you lot too. And I'll be back tomorrow because we're going to try and bring the daily videos back. Now, I'm saying trying because it's been a crazy month for me. Absolutely mad stuff going on off the field, if you know what I'm saying. So yeah, we're all good. We're back. Not got temperature anymore. Got the lights in front of my face and my eyes don't hurt. So everyone's a winner. I'll see you guys in a bit.